So it's important that you practice what you've learned while the course develops. And for that reason, you should build your own lab. Mwahaha. So don't worry, I'm going to help you build it step by step. This is going to be your own lab, so you can customize it the way you want, but I will teach you each step one at a time. So before you even jump to any conclusion, all the lab environments will cost you zip, nada, nothing. Only your time and perhaps patience. So first, let's have a look at the requirements. When you prepare your lab, you should make sure that your setup will meet the basic system requirements. Because we'll be using virtual machines and some pretty processor-intensive tools, I highly recommend that your system should be capable of handling at least 2 virtual machines at the same time. So for storage, I don't want to give you, just any random numbers about the size of available hard drive space, but you really will need it. If you don't have enough, you're probably going to face some problems. Now for memory, insufficient memory fails suck, so I strongly advise using at least 16 gigabytes of RAM. For your processor, I think if you're on this course, it means that you've probably got a good enough processor to support virtualization. Now, you should activate it from BIOS if this is the first time for you to actually start up with a virtual machine. And what about for hypervisor? VMware Player, VMware Workstation, or VirtualBox? All of them are going to be good options to build this lab on. You're going to watch me using VirtualBox because, well, some intentionally vulnerable virtual machines only work on VirtualBox, so I would highly recommend you do that too. And finally, we'll talk about your internet access. You are going to need internet, but only when you're setting up the lab. Otherwise, I don't think you're going to need it. You can do it offline, but it'll be good to search for extra information. So basically, the lab network will be all that. You'll be using VirtualBox in network mode as hypervisor. Then you will download and configure the virtual machines together. So let's get started first with VirtualBox. VirtualBox is a freely available open source software solution, runs on Windows, Linux, Macintosh, and Solaris hosts, and supports many guest operating systems. So VirtualBox is deceptively simple, but it's also very powerful. So let's go ahead and install it, give it a quick look. Hey there, so I want to make a particular hands-on demonstration in Windows for 2 particular reasons. One, I'd like to show you that the host is not critically important while preparing the lab. And secondly, I'd like the students using Windows as a host system to feel comfortable at the beginning of the course, because we're going to be using a Mac as a host system in general for the rest of the course. So simply by using your favorite web browser, type VirtualBox into the address bar. You will see the official site of VirtualBox is the first row of the results page. So it's virtualbox.org. is the official site. So click on it. There's the download. So let's click it to see the download options. All right, so this is the latest edition when I was preparing the course. Now, there's a couple of options for the major hosts. So, by the way, what I mean about the host is that your main operating system installed on your computer. So click on the option, whichever is suitable for you. Right now I'll use a Windows, so I'm going to download for Windows hosts. And while downloading VirtualBox, just scroll your mouse down a little bit and you can see that there's an extension pack to install as well. The extension pack helps your installation support different things like USB 2 and 3 devices. It may help you to manage your installation easily. Now click on the link, All Supported Platforms. Wait a little bit, Might not take too much time. All of it has been downloaded. Go to my Downloads folder. Double-click on the X file. Click Next, Next, Next. And now it will install some virtual network adapters at this phase. So click Yes and Install. Now it's going to be installing for a while. And there it is finished. I don't want you to start now, so let's uncheck the box and click Finish. See, now's the time for installing an extension. After installation of VirtualBox, the icon has changed. You see that? So double-click on it and wait for a bit. Right, so now this screen comes up. Click Install. So go ahead and scroll down until the end, and you'll see that I agree button. It's enabled. So click on it if you agree, and, well, you should agree in order to use VirtualBox. So wait a second. Okay. So now you're done. Congratulations, you've installed VirtualBox. So please have a look and be familiar with the menus by yourself before you start. Virtualbox.org is the official site. And on the left pane, there's the Download menu item. So in the Downloads page, we have platform packages here. Click on OS X Hosts as a link for Mac devices. Click Save to start the download. When the download's finished, double-click on the installation package file, which has the .dmg at the end. Okay, so here you do what the instructions tell you. Double-click on the VirtualBox.package icon. Click Continue. Continue again. And Install. And then here I just enter the local admin password and click. Now, go to the Applications menu and click the VirtualBox icon to start your virtualization environment. Congratulations, you've installed VirtualBox. So, Kali Linux is a Debian-based Linux distribution aimed at advanced penetration testing and security auditing. Kali contains several hundred tools which are geared towards various information security tasks, such as penetration testing, security research, computer forensics, and reverse engineering. Kali Linux is developed, funded, and maintained by Offensive Security, a leading information security training company. Now, we're going to use Kali as the attacker system. However, if you don't want to use Kali for whatever reason, you can download the tools that we use and install them to your host machine. So let's download it and install it as a virtual machine on our host system. So I'm going to prepare the Kali VM directly from the VirtualBox image first. The first step is to download the VM files. Open the browser and simply Google the words Kali and download. The first website is the official site of Kali, so click on it. This is the download page of Kali. These are the ISO files. You can use them to install Kali as the main host or as a virtual machine in any virtualization platform. Now, these are the images that you can use to install. With the latest release, Kali Linux announced that the images have been restructured and simplified. So from now on, Kali Linux has new image styles: installer image, a live image, and a network installer image. Installer image is recommended for users who want to use Kali Linux on their system. No network connection is required. You can choose desktop environments such as XFCE, KDE, GNOME, and any other tools that you want to install during your installation. Now, the second one is a live image. So it's used to run Kali without installing it. And the last one is a network install image. the smallest image, of course, to download, containing only enough to install the base system that requires a network connection to install selected applications. At the bottom of the Kali image files table, there are ready-to-use, almost ready-to-use Kali virtual machines. So if you're going to use Kali as a virtual machine, you can use them instead of installing ISO files from scratch. Click this link under the Kali Linux VirtualBox tab to download the OVA file. And the download has been completed. So here you can just simply run the OVA file to run the VM. So the second step is to install Kali. Well, since we'll use the OVA file, it'd be better to say import for this step. And the download's finished. It's under the download folder. Now I'll open a VirtualBox interface, choose import, and choose the OVA file under the download folder and click continue. So as you can see, there are the suggested settings of VirtualBox for the imported virtual machine. RAM is 2 gigs by default. Now just click import and agree to the license agreement in order to continue. And it starts to import. That may take a couple of minutes. So I want to look at the size of the empty space on my host. df command simply displays the free disk space, and -h parameter makes the result human readable. Now I have 140 gigabytes of free space, and that should be plenty for this installation. Installation's finished, and this is the summary of the VM. RAM is 2 gigabytes by default, and if you have enough RAM on your host system, I suggest you increase it. Networking is NAT at just as I want. Now just click on the Start button. Okay, the virtual machine could not be started. So I wonder about the details of this error, don't you? Okay then, so to fix this problem, we'll need to install the Oracle VM VirtualBox extension pack. So I'll copy this part, and I'll just search on the web. So now let's look at the official site of VirtualBox. We can download it under the title of Oracle VM VirtualBox extension pack. So we'll just click on this link and save the file. And it quickly downloads. So let's open the file and click Install. And again, I'll accept the virtual license agreement. And finally, enter the password to complete the installation. And now it's been installed successfully. So now I'd like to go to the Preferences and double-check the extension packages. And everything is okay. Good. So now we can start again. Okay, so our Kali is booting for the first time. Click Switch for the full screen mode. And here we are at the login screen. Now, in addition to the changes that I mentioned in the previous lecture, there is another important change in this Kali 2020.2 release. The default user account is now a standard unprivileged user. Kali is no longer using the super user account root by default, right? So the new default credentials are Kali and Kali. And welcome to Kali 2020.2. Now, normally the screen resolution automatically fits your particular screen, but if you have any resolution problems like I appear to be having, you can change the scale for your screen. So first, I'll just open up the display settings. And I can choose the resolution value to be 1920 by 1200 and click the Apply button. Now go to Preferences, and under the Display tab, you can change the scale factor. So I'll set this value to be 190% of my screen, and you can change it to whatever you want and just try different values for your screen. All right, so I'll click OK. Now let's look at the changes. Yeah, that's pretty good. So let's open a terminal screen and check the network connection. When I run the ifconfig command with standard user privileges, I will get an error because the ifconfig command is under the sbin folder and requires root privileges. So why don't we have a look inside that sbin folder? As you can see, I can run the cd, pwd, and ls commands without sudo. These commands do not require root privileges. However, the commands that are under the sbin folder must be run with sudo. Ifconfig is here, and let's run this command with sudo. And it's okay now. Of course, there is a more practical solution. We can always switch the user to root so that we don't have to write sudo for every command that requires root privileges. So let's run sudo su. Okay, so I'm root now, and I'll double check that with the whoami command. Well, now I can run any command which requires super user privileges without sudo. And this is my IP address. If ifconfig didn't obtain an IP address, that means that you have a problem with your network configuration. It's not a problem. Problems do occur, and I certainly will give you some solutions to fix any possible network problems in the next lecture. So now we're on the last step. Fix the problems and run Kali. Now in this lecture, I will assume that you do have trouble with network connections, and I'm going to give you some solutions so that you can fix the problem. Now, hopefully you're not facing such a problem, so if you don't have a network situation, please, you don't have to apply any of these solutions in this lesson, but it's good to have you on the ride, and you can always sharpen your troubleshooting skills. So first off, let's reboot the machine to understand whether the problem is an exception for the initial run or not. So I shut down the virtual machine because I want to look at the settings of it. Now select Kali and click the Settings button and click the System tab. I want to make the RAM 3 gigabytes. So now I can click the Start button to boot it again. Username and password are both Kali. Okay, we are in again. So let's check the network connection by clicking the network icon at the upper right-hand corner. So I think there's a problem on the DHCP of the VMware. Well, anyway, we can live without DHCP as well. So I'm looking at the wired network. Don't be confused, even though you share the wireless connection of your host machine, it's simulated as a wired network in the VM. So let's open a terminal screen and look at the networking service if it's running. Write Service Networking and press Tab twice to see the available commands of the service. Networking service does not have status command, so I'll assume that it's not started and try to start it. And if you are still not connected at this point, let's go to Network Settings. You can go to Network Settings via Advanced Network Settings under the menu. Or you can right-click on the network icon in the upper right corner and select Edit Connections. Now click the wheel icon under the Wire tab, okay? Okay, I go to the IPv4 tab to set the IP manually. Click the manual option. I'll choose an IP for the new Kali. Now, the IP block of my virtual network is 10.0.2.0 through 24, so I'll choose an IP from this block. Netmask is 255.255.255.0 for a 24 IP block. The gateway is 10.0.2.2. So I can use Google DNS as my DNS server and route. Now you can click the Save button. Okay, I'll reboot the machine to be sure that the changes are applied. Boot completed. So open the terminal screen and first type sudo su to switch the user to root so that you don't have to write sudo for every command that requires root privileges. And then run the ifconfig command to see the IP address of Kali. And it's 200. So let's ping a remote system, for example, Google DNS 8.8.8.8. Yes, we received the response packages. The network's okay now. So to double check, open a browser and visit any website. So allow me to introduce you to the Metasploitable 2 virtual machine. It's an intentionally vulnerable version of Ubuntu Linux, designed for testing security tools and demonstrating common vulnerabilities. It is created by Rapid7, who's also the producer of the Metasploit project. So this virtual machine is compatible with VMware, VirtualBox, and other common virtualization platforms. Now, by default, Metasploitable's network interfaces are bound to the NAT and host-only network adapters. Now, since there are a lot of vulnerabilities in it, you don't want to use the virtual machines in bridge mode. One of the top reasons is someone in that network might hack the vulnerable virtual machine and try to access the host machine, which means your computer. So now you're going to exploit this machine to gather what you expect from the course. So let's go ahead and download it and import it into VirtualBox. So go ahead and fire up your favorite browser again and type Metasploitable 2 into the address bar. And look at that. In the first row is Rapid7's page. So this is the official page for Metasploitable 2. Now here you're going to see a SourceForge link. So let's follow it. Now you can go ahead and click this big button, which is a download button, and wait for a few seconds. Then your download starts. But for sure, I will not record this whole download process. You don't need to see it. You're going to see your own. So after the download, I'll move the file to my Tools folder. But you can find it in your download folder. So just go there and right-click on the file. And now you can extract it to VirtualBox VM folder. Wait a little bit while that extraction finishes. Okay, now it's finished. So now you should be able to import the virtual machine in VirtualBox. So Metasploitable 2 is a VMware virtual machine, but you can import its hard drive into VirtualBox. So let's first create a virtual machine from the beginning. Press New. And this window is going to come up. And let's type in Metasploitable 2. And choose the operating system type as Linux. And we'll choose the version as Debian 64-bit. And click Next. Now, I don't want to change the memory, so I'm going to let it stay as is. Click Next. And yeah, so here's the important part, because you should import the virtual hard drive that you have extracted. So choose the third option and show the folder that you have extracted, the Metasploitable 2. And then hit Create. So as you can see, it doesn't take too much effort. Right, so now let's open Metasploitable 2 by double-clicking on it. Won't be long, and finally, you're going to see the login shell. So the default user is MSF-admin, and the password for this user is MSF-admin as well. But don't let's forget it here. This is a US keyboard layout, so watch it while you're typing. Okay, good. It's started. And congratulations. Hopefully, if you are mirroring what I'm doing, you have imported Metasploitable 2 into your lab environment. The next thing is installing Vagrant and its plugins. Now, Vagrant will give you the power to create the virtual machine from the ground up. So open your browser and go to the Vagrant page. Follow the Vagrant link by clicking here. And from the above menu, click Download to see the options. Now here you can choose whatever version is right for you. And again, I'm going to download the 64-bit version of Vagrant for Windows. So I click here, but I don't want to wait for it to finish, so I'll cancel it, because I've already downloaded it before and I know exactly where it is in my downloads folder. Installation is easy, and I'll double-click on the Vagrant executable, read the agreement, and accept it. Next. Now you can, but don't touch the default folders and paths while installing. It's going to cause some headaches later, believe me. So, next, install, and then wait until the installation finishes. Ah, it's finished. And click here to complete the installation. Now, Vagrant does require a restart after installation. So make sure that you save your work and any of the other windows, and then restart your computer to complete the Vagrant installation. And that's what I'm going to do here. Okay, so I restarted my computer. Now, I would want to say congratulations, but we haven't finished yet. Open your browser and go to the Vagrant Cloud page. Click on Find Boxes. Type Metasploitable 3 and search. All right, so here is Metasploitable 3 for Windows 2008. So just click here. All right, so here are all the code pieces that we'll use to download Metasploitable 3. So you copy this, create a file for Metasploitable 3. I'm just going to create a file on the desktop. Great, so now to execute this code, first we'll need to see the file extensions, because you do need to create a TXT file without an extension, okay? So click View, click the File Name Extensions, and create a .txt file named Vagrant File. Paste the code and save it. Now you can delete the TXT extension. So press Shift and right-click to open the PowerShell window. Nice. So you should install a Vagrant plugin. And the plugin is Vagrant Reload. So type Vagrant plugin install Vagrant Reload into the command line. Remember the dash. Now, this might take some time. All right, so once it's finished, now just write Vagrant up. This will also take some time, so you might just need to wait for a moment. Okay, so it's finished. So when you open your VirtualBox, you will see Metasploitable 3 there. So choose Metasploitable 3 and start it up. And then click the icon in the lower left-hand corner of the screen here and choose Type without the keyboard. Press Ctrl and Alt from the keyboard and click Delete with your mouse. Now click Vagrant User, and the password for Vagrant User is Vagrant. Wait a few seconds. All right, congratulations. You deserve a cup of coffee. You have successfully installed the Metasploitable 3. And now you can start the course. So Windows 7 or 10 is not going to be a direct target for you, but it is good to have it and add it to the NAT network to give a more realistic view to your network. You will only use a Windows 7 or 10 machine to perform a few specific tasks. You're not always going to need it. So there are two options that you can get Windows operating systems for free. One of them is this website. So it's a website that allows you to download virtual machines to test Windows Internet Explorer, as well as Microsoft Edge browsers. As you can see here, there are a few download options. So I'll choose this one. And the platform. Now look, I'm going to choose here VirtualBox and then download the zip file. So it's going to take a little time because it's a pretty big file. And you can also download the Windows 10 flavor as well. So now the other website, remember I said there were two ways to do it. The other one is the Microsoft Evolution Center. So you can download almost all Microsoft products here. So let's go to the Products menu. For example, click Windows 10 Enterprise. And what you get is a 90-day evaluation product. So you should fill in this form and click it to download the product. So I also download here only the virtual machines. And you can go to your Downloads folder. I'm in my Tools folder now. And I'm going to extract Windows 7 first. So I'll right-click it and extract it. And I don't want to wait, so I'll do the same for Windows 10. Right-click it and extract it. After 2 or 3 minutes or so, they'll both be extracted. Okie doke, so the extraction is now finished, and I'll go to the Windows 7 folder. Now, you'll see that there is an OVA file, and you already know how to import this into VirtualBox. So we'll double-click on the file, and a few seconds later, this window will come up. Now, I only changed the name to Win7. Reinitialize the MAC address and import. So in a few minutes, it'll be imported into VirtualBox. And there it is, it's been imported. So now let me import Windows 10 in pretty much the same way. So congratulations, if you've been doing what I've been doing, you have just now imported 2 Windows machines into your lab environment. So now let's provide connectivity between your virtual machines. So the way I'm going to do this, I will include all of my virtual machines in a NAT network. I'm first going to start with Kali. So I'll choose it, click Settings, go to Network Settings, change NAT to NAT Network, right? And click OK. Now do the same thing for the other virtual machines quickly. So snapshots. I strongly advise you to take a snapshot of each machine in your lab because you're going to, do some hacking stuff on each of the machines. They're going to contain many payloads and exploits on them. You may crash them or trash them or do whatever the heck you can to them. So take snapshots so you don't have to create and import the machines from the very beginning. You can go to the Snapshots menu from here, or from the above menu, go to Machine Tools, Snapshots, and you'll see this pane here. So choose your virtual machine and click this green plus sign, and then give a name and write a definition about your snapshot. So I'm just going to leave it the same and just write the definition as clear to define it as a clear installation. You can write whatever you want about yours. Click OK. And now I'll just quickly take the other snapshots. Yeah, so there it is. I finished taking snapshots. So finally, we finished building the lab. So let's get hacking.